Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananamyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Did you find the clicker? Thank you. I'm here with my wife, Nirakula. She's right there. Hi. Okay. Thank you for everything you do. We also felt special gratitude and ecstasy coming up here with Malini Devi Dasi. She's extremely special to us. She's our co-Sankirtan leader at ISKCON of Silicon Valley. Arguably the most successful of Sankirtan leaders anywhere in the world by percentage increase of book distribution at ISV over the last, how many years has it been now? When did you start? Huh? 2005 you entered into the position, so that's 20 years she's been doing that nonstop. One day when we went down to the UC Berkeley campus and we were distributing a few books, if I remember correctly, and she caught up to me and said, "Can I do this?" And that's indicative of how anyone can do book distribution if you have enthusiasm and you desire to do it. 23 to that time. Anyway, so Malini has become expert at not just distributing books, but enthusing the Sankirtan party there of Silicon Valley, and her co-leader, Sri Krishna Purushottam, and a host of other devotees who act in responsible posts to spread out throughout the Bay Area, have learned by their enthusiasm and have caught the bug to go out and distribute books on a regular basis. They thrive by doing that as a sadhana. Malini has especially been effective in distributing sets of Srimad Bhagavatams. Somehow or other, around the world, this method or distribution of Srimad Bhagavatams has become augmented. At one point, not so long ago, if our whole movement distributed 300 or 400 sets of Bhagavatams, including 200 of them in India, in 1 year, we thought that was okay and normal. Interestingly, in previous years, people had put their minds, several leaders had put their minds to how to distribute sets of Srimad Bhagavatams, including sending people to learn from Encyclopedia Britannica how they sold so many books in one set, door to door and so forth. But no one had broken through. We did have a revelation several years ago about Bhadra Purnima. That is the day on which, when you give away a set of Srimad Bhagavatams, the Srimad Bhagavatam itself says you receive the gift of going back to Godhead yourself. And we made that a point of focus. And since then, all over the world, miraculously, Srimad Bhagavatam's sales have skyrocketed. Interestingly, the most dramatically in 2020. And I don't want to break up a sore subject, but there was a world event unfolding in 2020. If you remember what that was, it seemed like an impossible time to distribute sets of Srimad Bhagavatams. But we had the largest spike in book distribution for Srimad Bhagavatams and then subsequently Bhagavad Gitas in the history of ISKCON during that dark time. It showed us that it's not a material activity, a time when it should have been impossible, when devotees develop the attitude, it must be. Tonight we're going to talk about the legacy of book distribution, and we'll also go into the various mantras for success that have been working everywhere. And we'd like to hear from you how it's going. We'd also like to take time to have discussion, answer questions, and so forth. Delighted to hear the various places you came from to attend today. Each one of them is poised for major increases. So, is that me or you? Unless I have to go down. Was that me or you? It's me. Sampradaya. We hear the word, we say the word. What does it mean? It means to give the most complete gift. And our sampradaya is organized in such a way that we can pass down the gift that's coming from Krishna to every living entity through the parampara. What are we giving? Well, this could be a clue. Let's analyze this picture of Lord Brahma, ostensibly at the beginning of creation. Does that sound chronologically accurate to you? Say yes. Yes. However, there's something anachronistic about this picture. Maybe you can identify it. It means out of place, time-wise. Yeah, he's holding a book. Doesn't that seem slightly out of place at the beginning of creation? Say yes. Yes. So, when I was writing this book called Our Family Business, your senior godbrother Rabindra Swarup Prabhu to write the foreword for it, because we developed a really close bond around book distribution in Philadelphia. Yay, Philadelphia. Give it up. Pointed out to me that this indication shown here in the picture, you'll find it in the Gaudiya Math pictures and so forth of Brahma holding a book, is because our sampradaya is known as the sampradaya of the book. Why? Because we pass down knowledge. Now, let's do a little more analysis. Would you like to have a quiz? It's fun. Everything about this is fun and easy, so don't panic. Okay, would you like a little quiz? Yes. Okay. Now, you identified that he's holding a book. Now, I'm going to show you a few pictures. This is psychological analysis. I want to psychoanalyze you. I'm going to show you a picture, and you tell me what's the common theme in the picture, okay? Are you ready? Yes. Who is this? What seems common about this picture and the last? Book? B-O-O-K? Okay. I mean, law of large numbers means you have to keep doing the experiment till you come out to the average mean. Okay, ready? Here we go. Let's try. Who's that? What seems common about this picture? Very good. Okay, we're 3 for 3. Who's this? What do you see there? A book? Okay, how about, who's that? And what's he holding? And this is the Brahman effulgence. And you can still see within the Brahman effulgence. What do you see in the Brahman effulgence? There were books, even in the Brahman effulgence. And who's that? What are they famous for? Books. Okay. Who's this? And nobody tops the Thakur. Everyone say. And what do you see about Bhaktivinoda Thakur that's common to the other pictures? And how about, who's that? What do you see he's posing with? Yeah. Okay, you ready for the last one? Who's that? I see something else in this picture. What's he posing with? Do you see a pattern? We are the sampradaya of the book. We have a purpose, the most complete gift, and the most complete form of the living entity. What's more, Maya Mugda Jivera Nahi Sata Krishna Gyan, Jivera Kripaya Koila Krishna Veda Puran. Says Sanatana Goswami, it says Lord Chaitanya to Sanatana Goswami that the living being is in deep trouble here in the material world, can't get out. But there's an intervention possible. How? By Srila Vyasadev's mercy. He said, Srila Vyasadeva has given the means through which the living being can be extricated. Anarto pasanam sakshat bhakti yoga manhoksaje. Lokasya ajanato vidvams chakre satvata samhitam. He's created this book from Goloka Vrindavan, out of the material world back into the spiritual world. Tadvag visargo janataga viplavo yasmin pratishlokam abhadyavatyapi namanyanantasya yosham. Different creation, and it's meant for the upliftment of all living beings, meant to take them out of the doldrums of the material world and bring them back to the light of the spiritual world. So, point of interest, how many of you have heard of the theory of Darwinian evolution? As another point of information and interest, how many of you have the book, Origin of the Species? You have it? Is it in your car? In your glove box? You have it? Who? What?
School.
In school you have it, okay. If you interview people on the street, if you ask them if they've heard of evolution, they'll say, oh yeah, evolution's a fact. And if you ask them if they read Origin of the Species, you won't find many, especially if you go to a hockey match. But still, everyone, now, oh okay, truncated, right? We have books that have changed the world. We can name many others. But the fact is, books have been extant in human society for many years. When people decided to write, and they have been for generations, they'd find any surface they could write on. In India, the chosen surface was palm leaves. Painstakingly, they would copy things onto these palm leaves using a stylus. They have to expose it to the sun so you get that darkened area. Isn't that beautiful handwriting? And how long would it take you to copy the Bhagavad Gita by hand? A year. And then that would take a while to generate enough to try to win the marathon for book distribution. So other people realized as technology advanced that books could be printed. First thing was the Gutenberg Press. That's not it. There was a Gutenberg Press, a man named Gutenberg invented it to spread the Bible. You can trace Christianity and see how it expanded through the distribution of the printed book. Then came other printing presses. This one is a replica. It's a picture of the kind of printing press that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur brought to Calcutta and kept running 24/7 along with two others. They had them lined up near the altar because he kept them near the altar to show that they were also deities. And anybody here from Ohio? 1, 2. You know where these printing presses came from? Hey, Ohio is a good export state. These printing presses came from Ohio. He shipped them all the way to India. And Prabhupada had expressed to us when he started his mission that he was following the instruction of his spiritual master, whom he asked several times for direction about what kind of service he'd like him to do. I'm wearing a wristband right now. It says, if you ever get money, print books. Who said that? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And where did he say it to our founder Acharya? At Radhakund. At that sacred place of Radhakund, our Prabhupada asked Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, what can I do? And Srila Bhakti Siddhanta said that I've got this big temple, the Bhag Bazaar marble temple, and I wish now that I could take the marble from that temple, sell it, and print some books. And then he said, if you ever get money, print books. So Prabhupada said I took this from his mouth, that he was very fond of books. So when he began his campaign, he extended that to all of us, that same mood, and it remains. Now I'm going to teach you a few points that have come by Krishna's mercy to the minds and hearts of devotees who have been distributing books for many years that will save you a lot of time and grief. Would you like me to save you a lot of time and grief? Yes! Okay, you can thank me later. The first is the ripe fruit principle. The ripe fruit principle is enunciated in the Srimad Bhagavatam itself by Havi Yogendra when he says, Ishvare taradineshu bali sucha prema maitri kripin. Anybody? Ranchor? Give him the microphone. We have to see if we have mics working. Or get them moving. Turn his mic up a little. We can barely hear him.
It says that the Madhyamādhikari has 4 types of relationships. With the Lord, he loves the Lord. With the devotees, he is friendly with them. With the innocent, he is compassionate. And with the envious, he avoids.
This is the admonition given to us as Madhyama Adhikaris. If you're going out to distribute books, congratulations, you're a Madhyama Adhikari. Haribol. Simple promotion from Kanishta to Madhyam. Now, the right fruit principle says we're in the business of selection more than we are of convincing people. And the right fruit principle gives a scale from 1 to 10. It looks like this. When you meet people, you can judge by their countenances of where they are on the scale of 1 to 10. You can see the one, you can see at the beginning of the scale the 1s and the 2s. These represent people who are very closed and not interested. You have full permission from Shastra to avoid them, let them free. Jiva Goswami adds, you can pray for them as you let them go. Now, in the selection process, you're not going to get anywhere with somebody until they're a little over 5, at least a 5.1. And in the process of book distribution, we're going out to search for the 5.1s and above. Everybody else, you have permission from Shastra to let go and wish well. Give them a prayer and leave them with a good impression. For some people, the best impression you can leave is by not trying to engage them. And down near the 1s, 2s, and 3s, they might not even acknowledge your existence. Don't worry. It's part of the ratio of book distribution. You're going to meet people on this spectrum. So the ones we're looking for are sweet. Like when you go to pick fruits, which ones do you pick first? The ripe ones, almost ripe. How can you tell the difference between a ripe mango and an unripe mango? Prabhu, you with the maroon shirt, give him the microphone. He looks like a mango expert. He looks very sweet. I just had to ask him. How do you tell the difference between a ripe mango and an unripe mango? Keep that mic really close, anybody, when you're using it, right up there.
The yellow ones are the ripe ones, and the green ones.
And how do they feel? Can you reach and touch them?
Yeah, soft.
Soft. And how about when you pick them? Does the green mango come off easy, or is it hard to pull a green mango? Console a friend. Call a friend. Ask your wife. Okay. The ripe ones come off easily, and the green ones? Okay. So let me give you a scenario. I go to pick fruits. I find a green mango, and I say, I have to bring all mangoes home. So I grab the green mango, and it won't come off, so I break the branch. And I drag the whole branch home. What do you think? Is that a good idea? No. It doesn't sound like a good idea? No. Are you sure? Yeah. Okay. How about if you meet somebody who's on the scale and they're 1 to 5? They haven't reached 5.1 yet. They ignore you, they put up their hand, they say no. You should follow them to their car. Try to get their license plate number and call it in so you can find where they live. Go to their house, knock on their door, camp on their lawn, and insist that they take a book. Yes? Yes? Be selective and pick the right fruits. Don't go for the unripe fruits. And really, when you go out, you may feel some sense that, oh, I have to meet everybody. Everybody has to take a book. No. We're looking for the right fruits. And if you stay detached and you select rather than try to convince, then you'll find that you'll be in a flow of looking for the signs of the right fruits. And we have a skit now to illustrate the point. And I haven't seen it, so I'm as eager as you. You want me to move off the stage?
We'll use this space, so yes, please.
Yes? Get off
Yes,
the stage?
please.
Okay. Yeah, right.
As we get ready for the skit, we just want you to do a little yoga. Please move back. Be prepared. Yeah. Thank you. We just need a little space here.
Oh, thank you.
Hare Krishna, everybody. So today we have a small skit presented for everyone that's just going to show a little bit more of the practical application of the ripe fruit principle. So all of us know that, just learned that we don't want to go for unripe fruits. We want to select, not convince. We want to look for people who are ready to take Krishna consciousness rather than convince them. We can let Krishna take care of everyone else. So just have a quick drama that we'll have. Just give us a few seconds.
Shouldn't this be somewhere else? Maybe put that in proximity. Yes, please.
Welcome to the adventures of Bhakti Fireball on Sankirtan. Bhakti Fireball, a new, enthusiastic, and somewhat naive devotee, is going on book distribution for the very first time.
Oh Lordships, please bless me today. I will save all the fallen conditions of Hare Krishna.
Let's see how she fares with her first process.
This Bhagavad Gita book, Hare Krishna.
Bhakti Fireball is depressed, but then hears a voice from the sky.
Don't get discouraged, Bhakti Fireball. Remember to select, not convince. Pick the right fruits.
Bhakti Fireball, hearing some guidance, gets renewed enthusiasm to try once again. Bhakti Fireball remains enthusiastic in spite of rejection. She keeps her calm, focuses on the Lord, and tries once again.
Something for you. It's already out and it was in my book originally. Bag originally. So this is a book on yoga and meditation. I haven't heard about it before.
During this conversation, Bhakti Fireball successfully convinces this newcomer to take a Bhagavad Gita based on her interest in yoga and meditation. She exchanges a donation and takes her contact for future programs. Emboldened by success, she continues her service. Let's see how the last person of the day goes.
Is this Bhagavad Gita? Do you accept donations?
Yes, we do.
Accept donation. Experiences has grown as a book distributor. By learning to select, not convince, she has left a better impression on people and fully enjoyed the bliss of book distribution. Remember, always choose the right fruits. Hare Krishna. Here's an illustration of an actual ripe fruit. We took it at the New York Rath Yatra about 15 years ago, and I saved it. This is a person who was randomly walking across the plaza where we were holding the Rath Yatra in New York, and notice his countenance. Where would you say he was on the number line? 1 to 10. 10, 8, okay. Past 5 anyway, right? Definitely a ripe fruit. Now I'm going to show you another slide. Person on the right. Where would you say he is on the scale of 1 to 10? 1? 1. And Akinchana Krishna Prabhu is there being subjected to the person. And so let me just give you a quick test. You say ripe or unripe when I show you the pictures. Are you ready? You sure you're ready? Yes. Okay, it goes kind of quick, so this is for training. Because in the field, you have to make these decisions really quick. Ready? Go. Go. Ripe or unripe? When you get that fast, and you develop a mystic potency for seeing who's ripe and who's unripe, then you will find yourself in the flow. And we're looking for those needles in the haystack. Don't worry, we're not trying to stop everybody. We don't intend that everyone's going to, or expect that everyone's going to stop and take a book. You can go through 20, 30, 50, 70. It's okay. That's perfectly fine. Wait for the person who's ripe. And here's the next principle for successfully distributing books or for making friends in general in the world. And that is this declaration, make me feel special. Everyone say it? Make me feel special. Just close your eyes for 1 minute. And I want you to imagine that everyone in this room has a little sign around his or her neck that says, make me feel special. Have you got that in your mind's eye? Close your eyes. Imagine it. Okay, open your eyes. Now turn to somebody next to you, someone that maybe you didn't come with, and make them feel special. Go. Maybe it's something about what they're wearing, their glasses, nice frames, nice beard. Maybe they look very fit. Maybe they look intelligent. Make them feel special. Go ahead. Okay, now I want you to look around the room. Look around. And notice two things. One, it's hard to stop. Because once you start making make somebody feel special, an energy comes way up. And next thing is, notice how everyone's smiling. And how do you feel? Yeah, don't you hate it when someone appreciates you? Ruins your whole day, right? You're in the mirror in the morning looking, make sure like 50 times, and then if someone says, well, that's really nice tilak, how do you feel? Somebody noticed me. So everyone's walking around in that state. They're always thinking, you know, how do I look? How do others perceiving me? And we're not doing this necessarily artificially. We do it from the soul. As the Sri Upanishad says, Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vanupashyati sarva bhuteshu chatmanam tatana vijagupsite. Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmaivad bhut vijanataha tatrako mohakashoka ekat vamanupashyata. That every living being is special, and that an enlightened person follows in the footsteps. Anupashyati means they systematically see all living beings as special, because they are. They're all unique, every single one of them. And for such a person, says the Sri Upanishad, such a person doesn't feel hatred towards anyone. They'll appreciate. These are spirit souls. So we can see everyone theoretically through the eyes of Shastra and through the moods of the Acharyas as special living beings. And when we enliven them, make them feel special, they'll rise to the occasion and reciprocate. So making people feel special is the main technique for opening their hearts so they can accept a book. What's the main technique? That's right. And imagine that everyone's wearing a sign around their neck that says, make me feel special. Now, it doesn't just apply when you go out for book distribution. How about in your family? Do you ever take your family for granted? Wake up in the morning, shuffle past your significant other, and, hi, how are you? All right, how are you? Appreciate somebody and make them feel special. This is the active principle of Krishna consciousness. We fan the spark. And we know from the Gayatri, it means that Krishna is trying to encourage everyone, enthuse us, make us realize that we're special because we're His eternal servants. So that's our message to everybody. We're simply trying to enliven the soul, fan the spark, reawaken their sense of real meaning in life because they've lost it. And the fire has gone out. So now I'm going to talk about what many people feel is a sticking point about donations. I'd like to address it early because when we understand what the purpose of asking for a donation is, then we'll feel more confident in asking for a donation. Why do we ask for donations? It's not that we need the money. We're not doing this to sell merchandise. If we wanted to do that, we'd think of some other product. Maybe soap on a rope or something like that. That's already been done. Why are we asking for donations? It's for them, not for us. Prabhupada taught us that when people take sacred literature, if they give something in return for it, it gives them the adhikari to read it. And interestingly, when you tell people that that's why you're asking for a donation, they appreciate it. It's a very straightforward thing to say. But it's an ancient tradition, dakshina. When you give something in return for spiritual knowledge, then you get the qualification to read it. If we give them away free, people just throw them away. And Prabhupada told us the story years ago when he explained this principle to us. He said a young boy went throughout the neighborhood giving away mangoes. They were perfect mangoes too, but no one would take them. Distraught, the boy went to the... He's given his hard-earned $10. He said, now I want to see. Now, we took it so literally in the old days that oftentimes we would wrestle the book back if somebody didn't give us enough. And that wasn't good either. And people also made a sport of stealing books from us because they knew we were going to ask for a donation. So especially in the airports, they take a look at the book and they say thanks and walk away without paying for it. We were distraught by that. In that same conversation in 1975, where we asked Prabhupada questions about book distribution, when we asked what happens, Prabhupada, when they steal books from us, Prabhupada replied, lucky thief. And there's another principle, people also pay with their attention. We even have that phrase in English, somebody paid attention. If someone's very interested, they pay attention, they took their time to look at it, but they just can't give a donation or they don't have it for some reason, then a person may be qualified to take it away and still appreciate the book. That's a far cry and big difference from just standing in a corner and handing them out without any care. The point is, we should create a context for them so they understand that it's valuable. And one of the ways that they show, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, don't teach this to somebody who's not austere or devoted. Doesn't he say that? And it is an austerity for people to open their wallet and give a donation or tap their card. And it proves that they're both austere and devoted. But if somebody doesn't have the money, but they show goodwill, they're open for it, or maybe on Rath Yatra we find they're in awe of Lord Jagannath and they're imperceptibly liberated for a few seconds, and we slip them a little bag of books. That's also an appropriate time when the books can go into people's hands. But this is one of the principles of donations. And if you ask in a very straightforward way, so they'll appreciate, then asking for donations becomes the point of the conversation when you actually can understand how deeply interested the person is in the book. Because oftentimes at the very end, when you ask for a donation, people just say, no, just take it back. And that's okay too. And there are various other things that we can do for such a person to leave them with a good impression. But that's one of our final points, is to make sure we leave everyone with good impression. What you're seeing here is a verbatim presentation of what I say to people to ask for a donation. And it goes like this. We don't need the money. The only reason we ask is that it's an ancient tradition. When you give something in return for spiritual knowledge, it connects you to the previous teachers who have passed it down over many generations and allows you to enter deeply within the knowledge. So, a few more points. Actually, before I take a few more points, let's see if you have any reflections or questions so far. Yes? We'll give you a mic. Please be adroit at handing out the mic in 7 seconds or less. Always give attention to the negative one. When you perceive there's a negative person and a positive person, you give your full love and attention to the negative one to neutralize them. I hate to put it like that, but that's the way it is. That as soon as you give attention to the one who's feeling negative, and they appreciate you because you're making them feel special, then oftentimes their resistance lowers, and they allow the other positive person who's past a 5 to a group of 6, and one person's a naysayer. Try to engage the naysayer first. Say, hey, I like your jersey. You go to UT? Oh, what do you study? Biology. My brother's in biology. And make friends first with them. Any other points? Yes. 1, 2. I have my way of doing. There may be other people who do it slightly different way, but if you have a larger group, I try not to give every single person a book at the same time, because then it gets unwieldy and some people start wandering off. I try to concentrate, put the book in the hand that the person will take it, then talk to the people who are most negative first, in that order. It's like algebra. You know what order of first set. Anutama Prabhu.
It's okay. Is that letter should have about free book distribution? Can I read it out?
Yes.
Free distribution of books. There's no need in this country. They have sometimes money and sometimes they pay more. Is given free of charge. They throw it away. In most cases, we offer our books and ask for a contribution. And sometimes they pay 3 times or 4 times the requested price. So what money matters, they're very liberal. Krishna has given them money and they spend it very liberally. Srila Prabhupada letter to Dr. Nayak, 7th August 1975, Toronto, Ontario.
Toronto. Haribo. Another nuance to this, definitely to a fault. And so we knew everyone who had taken a book had paid for it. In the airport, we had at least 5 to 7% of the people who had legitimately purchased books leave them behind. And we had created a second economy in the airport, because the janitors who worked there would collect them and bring them back, and we'd give them 50 cents per book. And they thrived on that, tax-free. And we told Prabhupada about it, because it was also a concern to us at 5% people leaving them behind after they purchased it. And Prabhupada said, what do you expect? In Kali Yuga, people throw away even their own babies. So they don't know the value of such things, so they'll leave them behind, so don't be disturbed. And he gave such answers. Although he gave general instructions, he gave us a lot of leeway to work, because Prabhupada was a book distributor. He was the first book distributor. He knew the crowds. And he also knew that people said all kinds of funny things. And he'd frequently ask on morning walks, if there were book distributors there, he would say, what are they saying? He wanted to know what the conversations were like and what they were saying. And he'd often give advice to the book distributors of what they could say in return, or how they could, certain things they could say to sell the books. So, nice evidence, and it emphasizes the point. Another principle is honoring objections. The tendency when somebody gives an objection might be to try to counteract their objection. But whatever you resist persists. In fact, it grows. And when you honor the objection, if someone says that, I don't believe in this, how would you honor their objection? That's great. That we're looking for exactly this, people who don't believe in this. That's who we're looking for. Talking to the other devotee saying that he was saying he looks like a person who gives donations. That's why we stopped you. You know, so whatever objection they give is like, oh, that's a really good point. We agree, and take it, don't resist it. Because whatever resists persists. The living being is tatasta. Everyone knows what tatasta means? It could mean like philosophically, in tattva it means liminal. It could go either way. It could go into the spiritual, go into the material. But I like to say it means every living being is open to it. When he made his purposes for ISKCON in 7 purposes, in the 7 articles, magazines, etc., we would achieve the aforementioned, the previously mentioned 6. In other words, he put book distribution in a special category that it could be foundational for our whole movement, and by emphasizing the distribution of books, we would be able to achieve the first 6 that he had mentioned. So it's a holistic endeavor. It's not a vocation that's separate from everything else we do in ISKCON. We find in communities where devotees are distributing books that there's an uplifting atmosphere, because we're an organism as a community, and organisms must breathe. So what is the breathing process for us? When we walk past the threshold of the temple door, or if you live in an apartment, to walk out the apartment door, walk out of your house into the great unknown, the public. And the experience we get when we go out and cross into the zone where we're only dependent on Krishna because we don't know what's going to happen next. We get oxygenated. When we walk then into the great unknown, they bring that oxygen in. So the exhale means we walk out, and when we're engaging in our regular activities as a community or as an individual, we may find that there are complexities in life. Mightn't we? Only one person has complexities? I'm going to move in with anyone here, because you don't have complexities. But when we go out into the public to distribute books, it's how we expel carbon dioxide. It goes out of our system. What problems, what complexities? We see one simple thing. I'm serving Krishna, and we feel that sense of connection. So when we come back into our house, we're changed. So this is one of the main reasons that we go out, because it uplifts the soul. And for communities that go out together, they feel it together. And they come back in feeling enlivened for going on with their lives. Book distribution is not a sales scheme. It's high sadhana. Prabhupada said, I want everyone to learn the art of book distribution. And performing book distribution puts us in a unique category. We test our mantras. As you read in Prabhupada's purports, in Vedic times, the priests used to test their mantras. Does anybody remember how they do that? They'd sacrifice an animal, the priest would chant a mantra, and what happened to the animal? For 20 points. 20 points. The animal will come. So then they say, okay, mantras are working. How do we test our mantras? Take them out. Now, in the Sri Upanishad, Savrita, tam state pratyavika shanti, ye has been killed in the material world. Not literally, but because it's covered by ignorance, it's dead. They've forgotten who they are. So when we say the mantra, Hare Krishna, who said that? Soul wakes up. When we say, oh, you look so nice today, take this book, and they read the Bhagavad Gita, and then they come back to the temple and they say, I'm back, I read the book, I'm awake. We're testing our mantra. We chant the mantra every day. We may forget how powerful it is until we test it on other people. When we see vicariously how people see it for the first time, we remember how it was for us the first time we saw it. Nothing like that, is there? First time I heard Hare Krishna, I was driving with my mother in her red Volkswagen microbus, circa 1972. And on the radio came a song by former Beatle George Harrison. He has a song called My Sweet Lord. I'd seen Hare Krishna around. I thought, who are these guys? But when I heard George Harrison, the Beatle, singing Hare Krishna, somehow my hair stood on end. And I was embarrassed because I was sitting next to my mother and I was thinking, she might think I'm like crazy or something, but the mantra did something to me that was irreparable. Still haven't recovered. And so when we give it to other people again and again and again, we get to vicariously experience that again and again and again. We don't forget. We test the mantra again. Does it still work? Yes. It works on everybody. That's why it's high sadhana. Besides that, sadhana is meant to please Krishna. If our practice pleases Krishna, it's the best of sadhana. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, there's nobody more dear to me than the person who teaches this to the devotees. And people who are devotees, they're just in different states of ignorance, but they can awaken by the message of the Bhagavad Gita. Oh, now I'm going backwards. It's for emphasis. And finally, I'll make this point. The success in book distribution individually or collectively is not a mystery. It's a recipe. Have you ever followed a recipe? Yes. It's a miracle, isn't it? If your auntie made the best, name a delectable treat.
Cheesecake.
Okay, cheesecake. If your auntie made the most delectable cheesecake and she just happened to have left you her recipe, then can you make it? Say yes. Yes. That's what recipes are for. If you have the recipe, then you can do it. So remember, book distribution is not some kind of mystery or miracle, although it is miraculous. It's not a mystery. It's not that somebody was born to distribute books and they just know how to do it automatically. There's a recipe, and if you follow the recipe, I guarantee you'll be successful. And so we have a recipe for success in book distribution. And I have it in my little recipe book here. It's remarkable, too, that I can't remember which is forward and back. I have to make a note of it. I'll have to put a Post-it note on this. Ah, I did it. Okay, down means go. 4 laws of book distribution. Here's the recipe. If you follow this recipe, I guarantee you, you'll be successful individually and collectively in your book distribution. Are you ready? Yes. Thank you. First is your sadhana must be strong. So we're distributing the overflow of what we're experiencing. In fact, when people encounter us, they're also looking at a scale of 1 to 10. We're looking at them saying, are they a 1, a 5, a 10? When they look at us, they're thinking, is this guy a 1, a 5, a 10? They want to know. And if they see someone who just attended Mangalarti, chanted 16 rounds, had nice prasadam, heard a Srimad Bhagavatam class, lights are on, 8.5. People are attracted. They have their little scale also. And if they see you and you look as depressed as they are, they're like, no thanks. So people aren't really buying the book, they're buying you. And if you have strong sadhana and you have light in your eyes, then that's what people are buying. The second law of book distribution is to? So we've studied this at major universities, including UT. And they've informed us that you can't distribute books you don't have. It's a fact. So when you realize that it's a miracle that we have books available, considering where we've come from using a stylus to write on palm leaves to now we have high-speed printed at any time, at least right now at this particular period in history. If you want to order a box of books, all you have to do is make a text, and a few days later you'll have a box of books, all printed, ready to go with illustrations. So why not get them? And I made this point about how you should always have books with you, get books, because you can't distribute books you don't have. And there were a couple of devotees in Chicago several years ago, and they took to carrying books with them in their car because they wanted to always have books. They went to a program at a wealthy person's house, and during the program, the wealthy householder said, I would like to have some Bhagavad Gitas to give to my friends. And all the devotees there who had attended had said, oh, we didn't bring any books, but they remembered, these two devotees, that they had a box of books in their car. So they went out and got the box of books, said there was about 7 Bhagavad Gitas and some small books. They came in and gave it to the man, and he gave him $2,000. And they said, now we understand this principle of get books. If you don't have them, it's not going to happen, and it should feel like a travesty. So get books, stock books, put them in your car, put them in your house, in your pocket, wherever you go. And the third law of book distribution is one that we always say twice. Because little Jiva is wandering around the universe looking for something nice, but is not finding anything tangible here in this world because it's a reflection of the spiritual world. But when they see the book table, when they see the Bhagavad Gita, they see something that can actually fill their soul. And our success rate is dependent on how much visibility we get for the books. Because living entities already see things. All you have to do is make sure they're visible. I see in Vrindavan sometimes, there are Russian devotees that come over, and they're very simple, some of them. And they have no technique whatsoever, except one. They'll hold the books like this. In the crowded corridors coming into Krishna Balaram Mandir, they just hold the books like that. And go, that's your technique? Do they sell books? Why? Because the more you show, the more you sell. The more you show, the more you... And if you don't say anything, know anything, but you show the book, you'll sell it. And if you keep that in mind as the principle, at least the third law of book distribution, and you think of ways to increase visibility, you're going to sell more books. If you have more book tables, does it cannibalize one book? book table? No, you just sell more books. We've tested it at Rath Yatras. We put more book tables. And all that happens, we just sell more books. Why? Because? The more you show, the more you sell. The more you show, the more you sell. And the fourth law of book distribution is you must. Yes. That means you can do a little bit as a hobby, but if you get yourself organized, you get your tools together, get some training. If you're talking about organizing a community, you use all the skills you would in managerial accounting and every other possible way you can to get people in line so that they have efficiencies, economies, everything, build an empire. We started ISV, we were just discussing the other day, a little hole-in-the-wall temple. We're still a small temple. We just have about 500 babies running around in diapers and a few devotees and a tiny little temple. And now that ISV community remits over $1 million a year to the BBT. I say that remembering, as we were the other day, or just yesterday, that when we first started our program, we had 3 or 4 devotees, and one of our first investments in our book distribution, we wanted to have a table, but we didn't have any money for it. We were thinking how we could buy a table. And one of our first goals was to have split the 3 or 4 devotees we have to go into 2 places. And one of the other first goals we had was to distribute 100 books in one day, which was so unimaginable that some of the devotees came to me when I requested that, and they complained. They said, you know, I think you're being a little overbearing. This goal seems unreasonable. And there was a time also when later we were standing in a parking lot talking about a day, it was a dream we had that someday maybe we'd be able to distribute. I said, one day, mark my words, we'll be able to distribute 500 sets of Bhagavatams in 1 year. And everyone said, whoa, what if that could ever happen? And this year our goal, which we've reached by progressive implementation of organizing principles, is what? 3,800 sets is our goal. Based on incremental improvement from the last years. It all comes from this principle we call always better service, which means try to figure out how to improve things a little bit at a time every single year. Now I'm going to look at my watch and check in because Shamahini, come up here and tell us a few things. We need some one-liners and some entertainment. What do you think of this whole assembly and how are we doing so far?
Hi, as I was walking there, I heard the story about ISV, and I was there yesterday when we were discussing how we didn't have any money to buy the table. And now there's so much that we're generously not only supporting book distribution, inspiring book distribution through your groundbreaking techniques in North America, but you're also facilitating book distribution and sending books to other people who may not be able to afford them. And you often give the example of a writing type that lifts all boats, and that it's just a matter of time. You can start with nothing, and then you can go so much that it can take over the whole world.
Thank you, Shamahini. Haribol. Now, let's bring Malini Dasa up here so you can have a look at her and hear what she has to say.
Whatever Thakur was mentioning today in the class, during the talk, I just want to share some of my experiences. So, Prabhu mentioned that I asked him in Berkeley campus, can I also distribute? And I just wanted to give you some background. I'm not an expert in distribution by any means. I was a bit introvert. I was nervous to distribute books and very not so bored to just go and stop people and approach. But as Prabhu was mentioning, if you sincerely try and try over the years, then as Prabhupada mentioned, Krishna within your heart will show you how to do it. I'm a living example for that. Because I was not born to be a book distributor as many others are. And as Prabhu was mentioning that success is not a mystery, a recipe. So at ISB, we try to follow all the recipes that are passed down. And just because we were following those recipes, we started seeing success. Because we are not worried about whether we are experts, whether we know how to do it, whether we don't know how to do it. We just took the recipe and everyone else just tried. You know? And there is one story I wanted to share that how we had a very humble beginnings in the early days. As you already heard about the table. I take you to put the books, and then we went to Walmart and bought our own table in our Christmas funds. And we went to a store called Dana Bazaar. Dana Bazaar is a store where it was a very small store, but people would come to buy their groceries. And at that time, we didn't have enough funds to get books from DBT, and they wouldn't give us a credit. They wouldn't give us credit ahead of time to buy books. So we had to first purchase and then distribute. So when we went to Dana Bazaar to get some books going, so we get some funds. And one of our devotees, my friend, Kameshwari Devidasi, she leads the Kids Sankirtan now. She leads the Kids Sankirtan. We started there, and then slowly we started noticing that people were coming because we were sincerely trying. It was pouring outside, but we used to stand outside the Dana Bazaar, and the owner felt pity for us, and he said, "Why don't you put your book table inside the store so that you don't get drenched in the rain?" So that's how we started book distribution. We just followed the principles, and let me tell you that these 4 principles, 4 laws of book distribution, they work. They work each and every time. So I highly recommend wherever you are, whether you're a beginner, whether you're advanced, or whatever stage of book distribution you are, please implement these 4 laws of book distribution in your community, and you will see huge success. There is no doubt about it.
Thanks, Molly. Yeah. And now I want to show you come up here, please. So we discovered Ranchor because we hold a youth yatra every year. We go in December. My wife and I and a team of devotees have organized a yatra to take youth 14 to 25 years old to the Dham for hearing chanting and seeing the Dham. And I knew Ranchor a little bit because we also have an online program called Youth Jam. And I saw this kid show up one day, Ranchor Dasa, and I said, wow, he's really smart, he's articulate. Then he ended up on the yatra. And on the yatra, we distribute books. And we have a system we can tell you about later that's infallible. Everyone distributes books, 100% of the people, and you don't have to speak the language. In fact, we insist you don't speak. We have it all worked out. But anyway, we said we need somebody to organize it, and Ranchor Prabhu, being a disciple of Gopal Krishna Maharaj, had it in his DNA that I want to help book distribution. So he said, I'll do it. He said, I've never done anything like this before, but I'll do it. And he was very successful. So afterward, I hope I'm not taking your whole story. Go ahead and speak for yourself. Take it from there. Just tell them what you've observed and what you feel about book distribution in general.
Hare Krishna. So, had I come Prabhu has known me from a very young age, and he can testify that if there's one kid he would have never thought would be a book distributor, it would have been me. I was very, very quiet. He's even running now. On the first day of first grade, I cried, told my parents I didn't want to go because it required I had to talk to people. But somehow or other, they can't get him to shut up now. But I wanted to distribute books after some time. I realized that it was quite pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. Initially, I was very uncomfortable with the concept, and my parents would never let me go alone for book distribution. They said it's not safe, so many things could happen. But I had gone with some devotees, but I wanted to go and distribute books at my university. And on my 19th birthday, I told them, you can give me permission or you can't, but I'm going and distributing books. So I went, and they said, okay, it's fine. And the next time they said, no, you cannot go, it's not safe enough. But through that experience of trying, I felt that Krishna saw there was some desire, and that happened about 2 or 3 months before the youth yatra, where I was requested to participate in some service. I don't want to take up too much time, but in the days prior, I had felt there was a situation where I felt I had inconvenienced my own spiritual master, and so I was pretty motivated to try and take on some bigger tasks to make up for it. And so then when Rajas Prabhu, the devotee helping coordinate the yatra, said, you want to try and distribute a book, or like help the book distribution, I just said yes. Not knowing where it would take me. And I can attest that the Indian method is so easy. You just show people and they take. And gradually I kept on trying to implement it. I'm also by no means a great book distributor, but I was thinking, as Maharaj mentioned, the third law of book distribution, the more you sell. This year for the Bhagavad Gita, but Vaisesika Dasa says the one thing that's illegal is making a list of reasons why it can't be done. So I made a list of reasons and threw it away. And I said, we're just going to try and see what happens. And on Janmashtami, there were some people that came to the book booth and asked if we had Srimad Bhagavatam, which had never happened before. But then even I got the idea from Anitama Prabhu the weekend prior, that maybe we can set up a Bhagavatam table at the Mahavatam Nishima showing, which is happening on Sunday, which is Prabhupada's appearance day. So it was a very busy weekend. That showing was really, really small. And it was only in Hindi and Kannada, which the biggest Indian population in Columbus is Telugu. So there were a lot of people who weren't planning on coming. But I said, why not? Let's set up the books and we'll go from there. And while I was setting up, one Mataji who's come to ISKCON a few times, but not consistent, she said, oh, this is wonderful, we always see you at the books table. And I said, hey, do you want the Srila Bhagavatam? She said, I don't have it, why not? And then during the intermission, I was talking to somebody else, I wasn't even actively trying, and I saw somebody looking at the books. And I said, it's $225. Only $225, he responded, and then he's also committing. And then towards the end of the movie, there were negotiations for a potential third set. So we were really, really small showing, just by showing the books, they distributed themselves. So.
Mentor, along with Abhay, a devotee at ISV, had conceived of a World Youth Book Distribution Day, which they implemented just recently, and it was a huge success for the opening gamut. He also works on our marketing, communications, and innovations team. He came up with a scheme for young devotees, and he's getting 30, 40, 50, 60 devotees during the summer who intern to help with, well, coding's gone, I guess, these days, but all kinds of processes for helping develop the books around the world. So there are many, many ways in which we can engage in the service of book distribution, and anybody from any age. I mentioned the distribution program. My first foray into that was several years ago. Several means, I guess nowadays several doesn't mean what it did when I was a kid. It meant like 3 or something, but it was more like 20 years ago. We wanted to see how kids would react to going on book distribution, so I took 5-year-olds, and along with some chaperones, parents, and we went door to door, and it was such riotous fun. I mean, one example was I was approaching a house, and the woman was outside on her porch, and there was a fence around the house, and she saw me dressed like this, and she saw all the kids, and from her house she looked at me and said, "No, no." But the kids didn't know what that meant, so they burst through the gate, and they surrounded her, and they were showing her the books, and Krishna, that's a cow, and this, and she the heads of the kids at me, still standing on the sidewalk. She goes, "All right, how much is it?" And as Malini mentioned, we had a children's program for kids to go out with their parents. It's a time for them to be together. Many different systems for book distribution in multiple venues, so the devotees can go out regularly and experience the joy of book distribution. And we have learned much, and we look forward to passing on everything we know to you. So, how are you all doing? And Shamahini, tell us what the time is right now. What time is it? 7:20, and we're ending at?
The program finishes at 8:30.
Okay. What would you suggest now?
We've already took questions, but if there's any more questions, I have one more question.
Okay.
When you spoke about the unknown, accepting out the unknown and how it makes we make progress, but sometimes the desire to make progress, because we're so materially conditioned, can actually lead to a sense of competition. And I was wondering if you could address that, how there's that balance and what we should do. What is the spirit of progress?
Yeah, the spirit of competition. So, one day when I came back from distributing books, I happened to be in Los Angeles at New Dwarka at the time. They had a clipboard where you'd sign in and you'd say how many books you distributed. And I noticed that 2 people on the list had distributed more books than me. And I noticed also that I hesitated to put my score down. I thought, well, if I can't be number 1, why would I put my score on the clipboard? And I thought about it all night, why I was uncomfortable about that. And I realized that whatever way it happened, that kind of competition had become debilitating for me. And then I thought, there are probably a lot of other people that don't even want to go on book distribution because of the sense of competition, because we're glorifying everyone who's all at the top, all the individuals who do better, and everybody else is an also-ran. So when ISV started, and somehow I got roped into that program in ISV to be part of the temple there, very happily so. And we started a book distribution program first thing. I thought, well, we're starting from scratch, so why not start in a different way? And the devotees had no idea of how book distribution worked or what the system was. I didn't even mention a newsletter, and I didn't talk about who came in first, second, or third. I just said we're one team, and we'll see how the team does. And after about a year, we started doing more and more books, but the word got out that we weren't competing the way we used to, or the way people were used to everyone competing. And one of the leaders in ISKCON had called our temple to complain and say, this is not right. He to our devotee attorney, who's got a very quick wit, and he said, well, we're supposed to promote competition. Why are you going against that system? And he said, no, you can compete with us. And since that time, by Krishna's arrangement and by the momentum of all the devotees working together as one team, our little unit, which is really just a laboratory for trying out different ways to distribute books and experimenting, has become successful and far surpassed what we ever thought we could do. And so I noticed that people naturally compete because it's the spirit of the individual soul to see others and see how they're doing and want to compete, but there can be a point at which it becomes non-productive. And not just non-productive, but it can become destructive if it's too intense, to the point where people don't want to share secrets with others because they think it'll give the other community an edge. And so I started realizing that type of mentality is like the tail wagging the dog. We start a newsletter and we're scoring things to stimulate growth and encourage everyone. But if it goes the other way, then we might want to rethink it and not do niyamagraha, just do it for the sake of doing it. And recently, I read a letter where Prabhupada was talking about how temples should cooperate and not emphasize competition so much so that they don't cooperate. And we're seeing that when we started this campaign many years ago, conceiving of the world as one team, and that all of us are together on that team, whatever continent you're on, we're working towards one world goal. We've tripled book distribution. And it's evident that when we're working together and when we reduce that sense of intense competition between communities and we see ourselves as competing against the goal itself together, we do much better. And so this is something Prabhupada has emphasized, that when we're together, when we're cooperating, we do much better, and he equated this cooperation with bhakti. Said the same thing. It's a very difficult thing to do, to cooperate with others and to not develop that sense of intense competition. So we very much emphasize it. And what you see in the background there, they're very serene scene, is how you feel when you're in a cooperative spirit. I'm interpreting what they're putting up. And now we have a few more things to present, but I'd like to hear more from all of you. What you've come here specifically to find out, learn what would serve you the best. I've given you the basic principles that we use in various places around the world. And if you have some very specific questions about how to improve your book distribution, I'd like to hear that. I'd also like to hear what got you here today. You probably came through traffic and came from some distance away. So you're motivated. What's motivating you? Let's hear from you. Yes.
I have a question, Maharaj. How can we inspire devotees, both senior and new devotees, who may be apprehensive towards taking up the service of book distribution. Either they're burnt out from previous negative experiences, or they're new and are afraid. How can we encourage both
Of the
devotees and also the
New.
congregation?
Of the two, the newer devotees are easier to encourage. When somebody has some indelible sense of doom when it comes to book distribution, it's most likely because they were introduced to it in a way where they didn't have the tools to do it properly, and they felt a little traumatized, and it's something they don't forget very easily. However, the way to inspire anyone in any community in the best way is to create an environment in which devotees want to do the service out of a sense of spontaneity. In fact, our community is called ISV, and it stands for Individual, Spontaneous, and Voluntary. Prabhupada had given this directive to Karandar Prabhu, who was one of the early leaders in the Krishna consciousness movement. He said, for management, you should always create an environment in which devotees want to do individual service, and it should be spontaneous and voluntary. Now, how do you get people to spontaneously do book distribution or to volunteer for it? It's one word. I have it in my mind right now, and it's only got 3 letters in it. The first letter is F, and the last letter is N. Yeah, fun. Because it's an ontological fact that living entities just want to have fun. And if you create an environment in which book distribution is fun and easy, then everyone will come out. You won't be able to hold them back. So what does fun mean? Well, literally it means pizza. Literally. In any place I've gone around the world, I was just in Bulgaria, and we started the monthly Sanctime Festival there, and they said, well, how do you make it fun? I said, make pizza. And just tell everyone in the community we're going out for a few hours, and afterwards you get pizza. And everyone showed up. That's the secret if you really want to know. You have a pizza party at the end. If you say pizza, then the kids say, I'm going. Everyone will say, I'm going. And when you go out together on book distribution, like we're going to go out tomorrow. But don't worry, we're not going out to distribute books. We don't want anyone to feel that you have to perform. And you don't. The only goal we have tomorrow is to see what it feels like to go out as a group. The hardest part of book distribution is going out the door. That's it. And finding your way to your spot. So we have a system that we'll employ tomorrow. It's called Touch the Pavement. Now, Shamahini and her team are figuring out all the places that we can go in Toronto, in the GTA tomorrow. And we'll be assigned a place where we can go. We'll get transportation to go there. And there's a specific place where we're going to meet. And when you get to that spot, you'll get together for a photo. This is your assignment for tomorrow, by the way. And you put your right foot forward, and somebody will take a picture of you touching the pavement in the place where you went, and then you're done for the day. You don't have to do anything else. Nothing more required. And when we offer the group activity of going out together and then coming back together, having prasadam together, talking about what it was like, and non-competition. There's no sense that you have to perform. We'll do some training tomorrow. I'll give you a method to distribute a Bhagavad Gita to Westerners, and I'll also give you a formula for distributing a book to Indians. They're completely different. I'll also save you a lot of time and grief. You can thank me later for that too. So really it's about fun. And if you create a group environment where everyone's going out together as a team, touching the pavement, and then doing, if you want to do more, that's fine. But you can just watch, you can just be there, you can even go home if you want to. But most people like to hang around and watch, and then they get caught up in it. So if you change the environment, the people who are used to some draconian method from the old days where you just got dropped off somewhere and said, don't come back till the box is empty. And they may have been traumatized for one reason or another. We're trying to reverse all the ways that people were traumatized in the old days to make book distribution fun and easy so that everyone would just want to go out and experience what it's like. And guess what? It works. After some time, the devotees have their own taste for it and they'll want to go out spontaneously, but no need to push. We have enough devotees who can just go out together and experience the joy of driving in the car, getting out in the spot, meeting people and realizing this is really fun. I just got dropped off the other day with a bunch of devotees at a Vietnamese mall. I love Vietnamese people. I walk around like this in the parking lot. Were you there? No, they had a group of young people. And as soon as I got out of the car, the van was driving down the street. There were two elderly Vietnamese people. And they saw us standing there. And as they were driving by, they went like this. So I followed where they parked and I got out, and then they were even more obsequious. They were going like, oh. And I showed them a Bhagavad Gita in Vietnamese. And they immediately, without me even asking, they just pulled out $50 and gave it to me with the greatest respect for the book. And those people are driving around. They were 8.5, maybe 10. Those kinds of experiences where you meet people and you realize if I hadn't been out, if I didn't come out here, just stand here as an instrument, I never would have saw this. That they have that in their heart, that they see somebody, they think, oh, that's spiritual, offer respects. So book distribution has its own life. And when you introduce it to people in such a way that they feel the togetherness and they feel the support, and then they have fun when they come back or while they're there, but when they come back and they can relax and talk about it, it becomes an activity that everyone wants to join in. How about a few more questions? What brought you here today, and what would you like to ask, if you anything? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Somehow we have to up the volume of the mic so everyone can hear.
Hare Krishna. So I have a question, but I'll briefly mention why I'm here. This Janmashtami was the first time that I took up to book distribution at large. And when I was explaining to people and they were asking me questions about the books, I felt more connected to Krishna. I felt like I'm kind of representing him. So after that, I was left with a feeling of that, oh, I sort of belong to him. So I want to learn more about how to do this, which is why I'm here. And my question is...
That's pretty nice, isn't it? That's really nice.
And my question is about I guess mostly the younger generation, because we hear it while distributing books from them that they don't even read. And with the attention spans going lower and lower, perhaps people are reading less. So what do we respond to such people when they say such things?
When they say what things? You mean an individual and they say they don't read?
They don't read, or they prefer like videos or something like that, or digital platforms.
We have digital platforms. So that's something that we'll talk about tomorrow. We've closed that gap, and now if you want to sell digital, you can do that also. Well, I think that the statistics for books are a little mixed. It's not that people thought that electronic means would come in and people would drop paper books and it would just be an inverse relationship, but it's not. It's more complex than that. Paper books are not losing ground. They're just in different sectors. And different kinds of people appreciate this or that. There are trends also. Some young people really like to read paper books now, and others of them just like to look at digital media. Some of them don't read at all, they just listen to audiobooks. So there are more options, and there are more people who grew up in different environments. Having said that, when people say they prefer something else, we like to have it on hand. For instance, they say, can't carry a paper book, I don't read paper book. They say, perfect, here, we have it in digital. And we just make that available. And now we're doing quite well with that. That gap is closed. So if somebody says, oh, I only like digital, you can cover that, no problem. In general, I've heard the same thing from many different people who say, yeah, but I don't read. And I'll say to people, oh no, that's okay, because this is different. This is a spiritual book. You don't have to read it. All you have to do is keep it in your house. You see, well, then I say, you know where good luck comes from? They go, oh, I don't know. And I say, well, it doesn't come from working harder. Because some people work 2 jobs and they still don't get any good luck. I said, it comes from the spiritual environment. And this book is a spiritual object. And I'll tell them an extended explanation, because they kind of get into it when you tell more details. I said there's a science called Vastu, which says that every object we have in our environment creates an aura and an influence on our lives. I say this book is inherently spiritual, so when you put it in your house, it attracts good luck to your house. And you don't have to read it. You just have to keep it in your house. And so people say, I've had people say, well, I don't believe that. I said, that's the best part, because you don't even have to believe it. It still works. And then and they say, so you keep the book. I had one lady, and she was, she was a little bit non-committal on anything. She seemed like kind of a neutral person towards the whole world. So anyway, when she heard that, she goes, all right, I'll try it. And I happened to be at the airport, so I was busy talking to somebody else, and she came back about 10 minutes later. She was walking by beaming, and she's holding the book up, and she goes, it's working. And I said, what happened? And she goes, they gave me an upgrade. She's carrying the book away. That's a kind of an example of honoring objections and always having some, thing to bring forward to people. That's what I say when they say, I can't read it. But we do have digital books. Okay, 2 more? Yes. Microphone's coming. Wow. Less than 4 seconds.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. My question is, for new upcoming congregation and new congregation, how to promote book distribution?
Monthly Sankirtan Festival. So what we've found is most successful around the world is have one day a month or one weekend. A Friday-Saturday combination is really nice when you invite everybody in the whole congregation. It takes a little preparation. I wrote about it in my book. There's a whole chapter on the monthly Sankirtan Festival, how to organize for it. And what it is it's a fun, easy outing where everybody in the community can come together and experience what it's like to go out together and touch the pavement. And we emphasize, or we de-emphasize results. We're not looking for results, we're looking for togetherness. So we ask people, just come for this one day, and we're going to have a chance to go out, touch the pavement. You can also include a little Harinam next to it. You organize it, get permits if you need it for places where people feel safe. And then, what do they get when they come home? Say it. Pizza. Pizza means fun. So when you say, we're going to go out for a few hours, we'll see what it's like, just touch the pavement, don't distribute any books, we're not going out to distribute books. Everyone goes out, you make some good arrangements behind the scenes so everyone can get to their spot, put up a table, have a little Harinam, show the books, and we also do a little training like we're going to do tomorrow. We'll give you a one sheet that says, here's a system, a template for selling a Bhagavad Gita to American. Here's another for selling a Bhagavad Gita to Indians. Malini's going to show how to sell sets of books to anybody, just walking along minding their own business. And then they have a little bit of knowledge, and if they'd like to try it out, they can. And you also bring out some devotees who are experienced so they can watch them. and follow them around and just observe. And you can do that once a month for a few months. And then you'll find that some people, when they go out, they say, the heck with this no distributing books, I'm going to try it. They'll jump right in. And it starts something. And it starts some momentum in your temple. That one a month, you might think, oh, that's a long interval, but actually getting ready for the next one requires setting the date. That's not easy in ISKCON to set a date, is it? Because everyone's like, oh, such and such is coming and this is happening. But if you get that planted in your community, and we call it MSF, Monthly Sankirtan Festival, that's the key to getting the whole community involved. What's more, we have teams of devotees who are prepared and capable of counseling and coaching. So if you want help in starting your monthly Sankirtan Festival, we have experts who can have a Zoom call with all your leaders ahead of time. They can even fly out there and be with you during your inauguration of the monthly Sankirtan Festival. And everywhere we've been, anywhere in the world, doesn't matter where it is, it's outrageously fun, and it changes the whole environment of the community when the devotees get to go out into the great unknown known as the public and experience what it's like to see people. Kids love it too. Going door to door, various venues, and trying it out. And what was the other question somebody else had? There was another one. Yes?
First of all, thank you for the idea for a pizza party.
Pizza. Pizza. That's the secret.
Secondly, just answering the question why I'm here. Over the year, I've seen book distribution turn from service to passion, and that's what fueled this passion. I'm here to understand more about it. Lastly, my question is, sometimes you may be stuck in the conversation with people which will make the book distributor uncomfortable, where you don't want to stay in the conversation for longer, or it's just tracking too long. So how can we escape that kind of scenario so that we focus on someone else just with more books at the end?
Malini's smiling, so I'm going to let her answer the question. You want to answer that?
Yes.
Okay, we need another mic. Here's. She's smiling because it's a common issue.
They get a phone call from someone saying someone is calling you. And they extract them saying that, oh, we have to attend to this one.
That's it? That's the simplest way.
That's the simplest way. And usually, when they try to extend the conversation, we just thank them, and then we appreciate whatever they're saying. And then we try to cut the conversation as soon as possible. Again, as Guru was mentioning, they're not here to convince someone, they're just here to pick the right fruits. So if they're not right, then we just appreciate it and let them go.
Yeah, and if you really have to get away from somebody, oh, hold on, 1 second. Pull out your phone. I have to take this. I'm really sorry. Thank you. It breaks the flow of the thing. That's like an emergency measure that you can take if you need to. Or if you want, you can just be really straightforward and say, I really have to move on. But it's perfectly okay and acceptable. Okay? Okay, 1, 2, 3. You're next. Keep your hand up. Oh, and then Ranchor. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes?
To answer why I'm preaching, I just came along with my parents. But I was also curious to know more about book distribution because I always thought it's the most immersive seva, and I've always been a little bit interested in it, at least. And my question is it worth it to put like a lot of extra effort into your book distribution? Like, for example, making like a handmade bookmark, because I always think like if you show something that something's homemade, then they'll see more value in it, and because the average person might understand that more than spirituality, it might like work better, and or like is it worth it to have like an extended conversation with someone?
Yeah. We have a branch of the BBT. It means Marketing, Communications, and Innovations. And we have a think tank young people like you who have all kinds of ideas, great ideas like that. If you'd like to join in, we'd love to hear your ideas. As far as a bookmark goes, it's a great idea. In fact, there's some groups, Christian groups, that use this when they give out Bibles. They write a little note with their own handwriting, and then they make copies of it. And it's about the shape of a bookmark. And it says, this is why I read the Bible, this is why I like it. You can do the same thing with Bhagavad Gita, and you can have a little bookmark with your own explanation of why it means so much to you, and then sign it at the bottom. You can put your email if you want. And then with every book that you sell, you can put the bookmark in there. So it's viable, it's a good idea. And Prabhupada said, when you're sincere and you try, then you get your own, Krishna will give you the genius, because he said the master in the heart will show you how to do it. So you obviously have acumen for this. I recommend talk to Ranchor and find out about our internships and just check it out. There's a lot of smart young people like you who are joining in and finding ways to do seva by using your really good ideas to expand book distribution. And then you can try it too, because all these devotees are all going out now too, doing book distribution, so you have a lot of fun. Especially now we have these youth book distribution groups, young people your age going out together, and they just seem so enlivened to be out there. So please join us. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna. She said she will. Get her number. Okay, Hare Krishna. All right, who is next? Sorry, I keep losing track. Oh, Ranchor, sorry.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. I guess why I'm here, I was encouraged, not bullied by the Srila devotees to come. But I had a question with regards to goals. I know you've talked about setting goals and how it can uplift the team. I want to know a little bit more about the importance of setting goals, why it helps, and sometimes I feel like the goal can stress one out if the mood is not proper. So how do we ensure that the goal is subservient to boosting book distribution and not a stressor that ruins the mood?
Yeah, you have to be observant of the stage that your group is in. For instance, when we first started our monthly Sankirtan festival at ISV, and I find this to be universally true, we set goals that are very simple, which is that we're all just going to go out together and come back. And that's books, Mount of Lakshmi, anything like that. At different stages, devotees are going to start wanting goals. Experience of this at ISV. As an example, we started incrementally increasing our goals, and devotees, this is one of Prabhupada's principles. It adds, in addition to what he said to Karandar about create an environment where devotees will do service that's individual, spontaneous, and voluntary. He also said you should also create a fresh challenge so they want to rise up and meet it. So that may differ at different times. For instance, we had one of our first challenges, our first goals at ISV was to diversify, because we started at Indian stores. One of them was called Dana Bazaar, which we called the gold mine. We couldn't believe the scores that were coming out of there in the beginning, but I said, we can't just talk to Indians. We got to talk to everybody. So we started, one of the goals one month was to talk to Mandarin-speaking people. And devotees were busily engaged in learning how to speak Mandarin for a month, going only to areas where there are Mandarin-speaking people, malls and things like that. And then we do different other kinds of goals. And we also incrementally increased the number of books we wanted to distribute because we found it enlivened the. We thought, well, maybe the devotees need a little break because there are always numbers of books. And it was Ranashtami, I can't remember. The devotees came to us all morose and they said, we want our goals back. We want a number of books that we can aim for and hit. So what we found is, in conclusion, is that you have to be observant of the level of development of your organization. In the beginning, you want to keep the goals just to be together and to go out. But then when devotees discover how easy it is to distribute books, they're going to want a little challenge to rise up and meet. So you have to keep gauging that and seeing what enlivens the devotees and keeps them motivated. So that's a very good question. And goals don't necessarily just have to be numbers of books or amount of money. We've had many different other kinds of goals. Examples of, Yeah, like we find other kinds of improvements that we want to make within the temple itself, and that becomes part of our overall goal. So everyone, it feels like it's integrated with the temple itself. So that's a good question. Now there was, yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
My name is Mohan Murari Das and I'm representing...
Mohan Murari, what a great name.
I'm representing one Muskoka and it's one Berry.
Muskoka?
We are...
Let's hear it from Muskoka. Give it up. No, really give it up. That's Muskoka. That's it? Because the thing is, GTA is one team. And so when you get a leader, like, look at him. He's a born leader. You can look at his countenance. He looks like a warrior or something. When you see devotees like this show up for this kind of thing, you really got to give them encouragement and feel the universality, the oneness of the GTA, that we're all in this together. This is such a powerful yatra, this whole GT area, with cooperation amongst all the different yatras that you're expanding into. I guarantee you could beat India, just the GTA. At least you could start by beating Calcutta or Bombay. Right? Yes. Say yes. Yes. This is Canada. You can whoop India, no problem. So go ahead with your question.
Alright, my question is, like when we give, first of all, I'm here to get an answer from an expert, which is Srila. So question is, when we go for a book distribution, what I've seen, like the first conversation going to happen, the other person, the first strike rate, I'm going to see when we are in a Vaishnava attire, is more for Indian people, but versus when I'm in a Western attire, Vaishnava attire, the strike rate is very less for Western bodies or say many non-Indian people. So, Maharaj, what are your recommendations? Like should we change our appearance when we are approaching certain group of people?
If it helps you. But honestly, it doesn't really make any difference. The real difference is how you feel. It's whatever encourages you, because we've done extensive experiments from the earliest days in ISKCON to see who would do better. If you're dressed in a dhoti and shaved head, or wearing clothes and a wig. That was a thing. And it's a draw. The main thing that counts is how you feel. If you feel inhibited going out in a dhoti, then dress another way. It doesn't matter. It absolutely doesn't matter at all. Prabhupada says it in his own purport. In fact, the history of it is, in the beginning days, there was one of my godbrothers named Bhakti Dasa. He was the temple president of San Diego. And he was organizing his traveling party, and they kept getting kicked out everywhere because they walk in a dhoti and there they are, get them out. And so he took everyone down to the Salvation Army. You know what that is? This place you get secondhand clothes. And he had everyone buy, regular pants and shirts and all that kind of stuff. And then they doubled, tripled their scores because they weren't getting kicked out. So then somebody complained to Prabhupada. This used to happen all the time. Somebody would innovate and Prabhupada, they're deviating, So Prabhupada wrote and said, no, tell them not to do that, because the thing that the devotee told Prabhupada was, they're dressing like hippies again. And Prabhupada said, no, we don't want that. So then Bhaktidas wrote back and told Prabhupada what the situation was. And Prabhupada said, oh yes, of course, you can dress like this. It's in the purport. You know where it is? It's in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's in the section of Prataparuja Maharaj where he dresses up like a Vaishnav because he was a king. So then Prabhupada devotes a whole purport to book distribution, Sankirtan, and he says, Vaishnavas can dress any way they want for the effect. In fact, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu changed his dress. He was just wearing regular, what everybody else wears, until he took sannyas. And why did he put that on? so he could spread Krishna consciousness. It had nothing to do with this is inherently more spiritual than others. We care about. So the point is, if it helps you, it helps me a lot when I go out in a dhoti. And not just that helps with Indians, and I'll tell you later, but when I go out in a dhoti with American culture and everything, I feel it helps me in many ways, because they see, they already know you're spiritual. It already filters out certain kinds of people. And so the point is, whatever you feel comfortable in, do that. Okay? Yeah, it's the easiest way to explain it. It's not this or that, it's what works best for you. Do you need to stand up just for 1 minute for the finale? Everyone please stand up. And we'll try an experiment. I want you to put down whatever's in your hand if it's not inconvenient. And try to reach the ceiling with your hands. And we're going to say Gauranga, but very slowly, just follow behind me. Are you ready? Gauranga. Take a couple breaths. We'll try it again. 1, 2, 3. Gauranga. 1, 2, 3. Want to sit down again? Yes. Is that long enough? One more. This time, call out to Krishna when I say 3. 1, 2, 3. Krishna! As Malini mentioned, the same principles apply. And if you have a Srimad Bhagavatam set and you bring it with you, to give an anecdote, I remember we were standing in the parking lot of our temple and some devotees were going to Stanford. You were with that party. I forget who it was, came back to get a set of Bhagavatams. As they're going to stand in the courtyard at Stanford University and distribute books. Was that you that day? It was one of our devotees and he said, oh yeah, I'll just take a set of Bhagavatams with me. So they're there distributing on the campus, and they happened to meet a professor who knew what Srimad Bhagavatam was and was incredulous that they actually had a set right there, and she bought it. And that devotee came home triumphant that he had remembered to bring a set of Bhagavatams with him. And just because he had it there was that serendipitous moment when the professors understood what it was. How rare is that? So Krishna makes these arrangements. So I mean, the first step is to have Srimad Bhagavatam sets available. And I'll tell you another anecdote which gives a little context to how it's a simple thing. Many years ago, before Srimad Bhagavatam became a viable book distribution avenue, I should say, before we were distributing large quantities of Srimad Bhagavatam, after circa 2018, is when it really started. I was with Vijay Prabhu at the beach in California. Around the time of Rath Yatra, we had a book booth on the beach, and there was one set of Srimad Bhagavatams. It was $500 at the time. It was at the back of the booth. And I watched Vijay, as we were distributing other books, he'd ask people, he'd show them the Bhagavad Gita. If they say they already have it, he said, oh, why don't you take the Bhagavatam? He just kept going like that. Why don't you take the Bhagavatam? Why don't you take the Bhagavatam? I was thinking, we're at the beach. People are in the swimming trunks. Nobody's going to take a Bhagavatam set. That's what I thought. And I was watching. He kept doing it over and over and over and over again, just automatically. I got busy over in the corner booth. I was talking to somebody. They bought a few books. They walked off. I turned around. All the books were gone. Vijay, what happened to the books? He goes, I just sold them. And it taught me a lesson that never give up. Always keep pointing to the Bhagavatam. And if you keep bringing it up and just saying, oh, why don't you take the Bhagavatam? Why don't you take the Bhagavatam? You're going to sleep at night. And people can hear you in your room going, why don't you take the Bhagavatam? Why don't you take the Bhagavatam? And then you wake up in the morning, why don't you take the Bhagavatam? The Bhagavatams are going to go out. So get them and just point to it. Just use the Vijay method. Why don't you take the Bhagavatam?